Hello, this is Wayne Roseberry from Software Testing. Today I'm going to talk about using user stories to test an application. The application I'm going to test is TestRigger, an AI-driven test case creation tool. It uses natural language and builds test cases from your description. The stories are going to be around a persona that is a non-technical person coming up with test cases for the application that they work on. Let's pretend that the application is Ford Motors automobile leasing site, FordDrive.com. And so we're going to come in picking a couple of features and create a couple of user stories that would work for that site, describe it to TestRigger, and see what TestRigger creates. The goal here is to test rigor as if you're a person who's trying to test Ford. Okay, so there's two levels of test here. Um, and what you're going to see is, first off, I talk about how I pick the user stories because I don't just blindly pick them. I actually pick them with a test purpose in mind, and I'll describe the one I chose in this case. And then how the user stories change as we go through because we learn things, and so we start feeding new ideas and come up with new stuff and the problems that we find along the way. So let's go take a look. Thank you. What I'm going to do today is talk about using user stories to test an application. Okay, so let's go. Actually, this is better if I get into Word where I've got the plan that we're going to write. I'm going to write as I talk. Um, and I can talk about the premise that I'm coming in. So the application that I intend to write the user stories for is TestRigger, or that I'm testing is TestRigger. Okay, it's an AI-driven test case tool. It creates test cases from natural language, and the user story that I am recreating, is as if I work for Ford Motor Corporation, as someone who has to test the Ford Drive web page, but using as if I'm not a tester, as if I'm not a technical engineer. And so my persona is not a programmer, and I'm using TestRigger's natural language features to create the cases because I don't have the skills to write the code myself. I want to be able to describe the cases without using technical language. And I expect that what it's going to do is generate cases that will do what I ask it to and will be resilient to future execution of the same case. Right. So given, because that matches with kind of the promise that TestRigger gives in its marketing material, that you should be able to describe cases in a natural language way and it'll make good cases. Now, the truth is that, it doesn't get 100%. It falls short in different ways. But even with that, from testing the product standpoint, it's useful to have the information on this is where it fell apart, this is where it didn't work as well, and ask these questions like, is this deviation from exactly what the user wanted something that we need to fix or leave in? So no matter what we find here, it's useful information for the product team. But let's talk about constructing the user stories. So there's kind of two levels here. There's the user story that is testing TestRigger, and then there's the user story of what the persona we would be imitating here is wanting to do. The persona wants to test the Ford website, but I, Wayne, am wanting to test different features in TestRigger. So let's just call this TestRigger story. A non-technical user is covering features in ways that are ambiguous, not using TestRigger specific jargon or language, because TestRigger has a language of its own that it uses underneath the covers that people can directly type in, and it'll behave more precise. But it also uses AI features and stuff to map natural language to those. Okay, that are ambiguous, not using TestRigger specific jargon or language. to try to create test cases. The cases should involve multiple steps and involve confirmation of page content or application behavior that might require multiple steps to emerge, right? So if you think about this, the thing that I'm thinking about is stuff where a sequence has to be followed to get to the state that we're going to be in. Stuff that's not going to be immediately right on the page. Stuff where behaviors depend on other behaviors to have this checking state. And so I'm introducing a level of complexity into the story. And the reason I'm doing that is because when you look at demo scripts, they tend to be the very, very simple thing for the app to cover. And so everyone thinks about when they write the app. There's not as much coverage when it gets into complexity, because that's harder to do, harder to think of. So we're pushing it a little bit. And that's one of the things that as a tester, when I talk about user stories, I like to look at ones that go a step or two away from the user stories that are usually put up as the value description of the product. So I'm enriching this a little bit, right? I'm pushing it into the AI-driven natural language expression, multiple steps, and emergent confirmations. So that's kind of what I'm picking. So let's go to Ford Drive stories, because I want to pick a couple of these, right? Just to have fun with what we're looking at. So let's pretend that we're now the user and we were on Ford Drive and we were coming up with what are the things that they wanted to do. And so we've got this page where people go to, pick their leasing options. They've got to join now and sign in. And there's some complexity here because join now requires you to have an Uber account. I don't have an Uber account. Sign in, likewise, you have to use that account you created from having an Uber account. So I am at the moment going to skip the sign in and join now stuff because there's a level of complexity here that I just don't have available to do that. We could create a workflow to cover that, the confirmations all come up. But I'm going to look at something else here that is fully functional for us while we're in the app, and that's the locations, right? One of the problems that you might want to check every time you roll is that the list of locations under the location menu pull up a real page. If you notice, I click location Los Angeles, I get this Los Angeles page. Location San Diego, I get the San Diego page, right? And likewise, if we're thinking about it, we don't necessarily know if what the locations are going to be way ahead of time. We just know there's going to be a list, and we want every one of them to correct. Next week they could add Chicago to the list, and we'd like to have it just say, look, everything that's there is good, right? So I'm gonna make sure check that the locations under the locations menu all point to a valid page. Okay, that's going to be one, right? And that essentially means you look, you see what these are, you select that, and you see did the right page come up, right? And so what are we expecting under this is like one finds the locations menu. That's what I expect, right? Finds the specific location options, navigates to page, confirms page loaded, right? No errors, is the right page, right? And checks all of them. This is what I'd expect out of the thing I ask it to do, and I will word it in a way that I believe in my persona should do that, right? A natural language way of doing it. Let's look for another one. Let's at least get another. We've got contact us, and contact us has call us, email us, and chat. Maybe we want to make sure that the chat is working. So when you click chat here, we get window and want to make sure it all connects. So we should at least wait for a moment until we get the assistant asking for our name. Okay, and then let's close the window because we don't want to leave the assistant there waiting on it. Okay, so let's do that. Let's say open the chat window and confirm the assistant asks for our name, right? And this, again, finds the chat window, opens the chat link, waits for the assistant to ask for name, and then I'll put this, and then closes window, and closes window. Okay, great. Now let's pick. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm not necessarily sure that a persona of this type would think of this, but I want to see this thing fail. I want this thing to say this case did not happen. So I'm going to invent something that does not happen here. If you notice that when we go into contact us, the chat window just lets us come right in and immediately asks us, in a little delay, asks us for, ask what it can do, right? You're going to have your name, but it doesn't require anything else. It doesn't require membership ID or anything else. It just lets you in. So I'm going to pretend that the persona believes that you need a membership ID, and confirm the assistant requires membership ID to offer support. Close window after confirming. Okay, and this time this is actually a negative case, right? It shouldn't actually do this. So same as for prior chat. I want to save my case, but should fail because the assistant will not request membership ID, right? So that's the thing. And these are three interesting little mildly complicated stories. So let's go into, let's shut that down, leaving the bot hanging. Let's go into TestRigger, and I have a suite I created. If we go into all test suites, there's an item on the thing that says new test suite. You type in something there and go there. It'll create a new suite for you. And it asks for you the URL when you do that right there. But I'm going to do that. I already did that, so I have a suite ready to go. And I'm going to add a custom test case. So yeah, the way that it works is once you've got a suite created, you can initially give it one on initial creation, and it'll build the suite out from there. Or you can, after the fact, say add custom test case. And there's two ways to go about it, right? There's custom steps where you tell it one step at a time what to do. And then there's from the description, okay? And I am going to use the description because it will actually build up its own steps from what you type in the description if you tell it to. So let's go back and let's take a look at the first one that we're looking for. Check the locations on the locations menu, all point to a valid page. Okay, so let's copy, and I'm going to change this up just a little bit because I was being very loose in my description. Check that all the city locations, that all of the city locations under the locations menu point to a valid page without error and with the proper city name in the page. Let's give it that. I mean, it's not a very technical description of what you want it to do, and it's also somewhat devoid of the navigational experience in the app. I mean, it's telling them about the menu, but it's also a different page is going to pop up. And so we're just kind of implicitly saying that that's what's going to happen, which gives TestRigger a chance to go about and build this up. And I am going to say generate actual test using AI. It's just going to go in, and we wind up back at the app. Let's take a look around after this. See, so far, actually, I'm not coming up with anything that's bothering me yet while we do this. Maybe it's because my brain is all fixated on what it's doing while it's coming up with the steps. It's got an in progress indicator saying that we're doing something right now for the thing we're on. It says we've got one case there, so it updated there. It's giving us an estimate of how much time it's going to take. This is the case we just created, and if you noted, it's building steps as we go. Okay, so it gives us you can see the screenshot as it go. Click location, click San Francisco. So it found San Francisco there. And then here's an interesting step. So it loaded the page for San Francisco and says, check if page contains San Francisco leads the nation in electric vehicle adoption. Make the switch from gas to EV, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that is fine. It says it passed, so it's done. It's declared itself done doing that. Now, and we can see that it this is the page that it loaded, right? We are Ford Drive. It's got the San Francisco graphic there for the thing and stuff. However, a couple of things. So first off, I said check that all of the city locations and menu all point to a valid, and it stopped at San Francisco. So it didn't loop back on itself. So that's checks all of them. Failed only. I'm making notes right here that we can go back and get details on later. And then something else that bothers me is how it crafted the check, because all I said was check if page. All I said was let's get to the edit on this, and with the proper city name in the page. That's all I set it to do for the check. And yet what it's checking for is this much larger blob, right? Check if this whole paragraph that it's looking for to be in the page. It just grabbed that. Oh, it's cool. Actually, I like that. It's got this green line around what it's confirming. Okay. We didn't tell it to confirm based on that. We gave it something to confirm. And so I've got an issue is that the check was supposed to be just city name in page, much larger check. And we can get the details on this if we filed the bug report, right? Much larger check, a whole paragraph grabbed from page body. So right now, just using this use case that we created, we wind up with at least deviation from the expectations we had. Okay, something to talk to product team about how important this is, that it deviated or not, that it didn't check all of them. It's interesting to look at. Okay, this may or may not be a problem, that it's not looping back on all the cities, that it's got this big thing. And part of the reason it may or may not be a problem is because under edit test case, we've got the actual steps here, right? And so feasibly what the user could do is just edit it down to check if page contains San Francisco. And then they could do this, copy it, and then click location, click San Diego, and then say San Diego, and then click Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Okay, and that would fix it. We could even check this scenario, which is it's worth exploring when you find, you know, a given use case that doesn't work out. Is there a deviation of the use case that might be acceptable? But you should still report the problem that you saw, right? Say save and retest. And okay, saved and retesting. Let's go to the test cases because it should be, yeah, here it is. It's executing again. Right? It should be. No. It's not the right. Where is the in progress? Last run in progress. Well, there we go. Now it restarted. Yeah, it took a bit to restart. Okay. Click San Francisco. Contain San Francisco location. Click San Diego. San Diego. Click location. Click Los Angeles. Should still be going. Contains Los Angeles, and it passed. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Let's pretend that we got. Let's just misspell Los Angeles. Los Angeles, which would of course be wrong. One of the things I can't quite help myself with is trying things out, twisting it. And actually, this is good for your user story creation, because these little deviations that I'm creating here are possible other stories, right? I could take this whole story and change it up and say, you know, misspell the destination page, or you could say, take the story and edit it, change it to be something different if you didn't like what it gave you, and you know, because that's actually what we really did. We're like a observant person would say, I really didn't want it. Maybe this person knows that block for San Francisco, you know, might be changing. Maybe there's a promotion in San Francisco and they need to say something different than that big long body of text, and so okay, I'll change it up. So changing up from what you do is an expected thing. And see, this is good. It caught us on the misspelling of Los Angeles, which is good, right? It should be doing that. So that's kind of cool. And in fact, I am going to let's just do what I'm talking about. And then edit script to fit what you want. Okay, assume test rigger creates a step that is different than you want. Change it in a way that should still pass. Notice I'm not being really precise on this. We could be if we wanted to, but the we could if we wanted to be really precise on this, but it's sometimes it's just easier to be more loose because you can adapt to things better when you're more loose in the description. And so I'm just capturing ideas here. So that's change it in a way that should still pass. I'm going to say same as prior locations story, but changed script should still pass. if prior failed should be reasonable under same user story expectations, non-technical. See, I don't want to step out of this technical persona. I don't want to be like deep in the language of test rigor to make this non-technical user to make this thing pass. Should be reasonable under same user story to fix script to match expectations, right? So in our case, the issue was it didn't find all of them and it checked something that was just way different than what we wanted to check. We should be able to easily fix that, right? Which I'd say the product actually succeeded at it. It failed on the first one, but it succeeded on the second one, right? And then I'm going to add this but user made an error on edits that should fail. But change script should have a mistake on the checking condition, and test rigor should fail the test. This is not just a nitpicky little testery, oh, what are you doing thing. If you think about this, this is very realistic, right? A user goes in, they see this example, they go, oh, I'm going to change it. And it's like, I want to cover all of these, only did one, so they boom, boom, and they misspell one of the cities. They hyphenate San Francisco, or they misspell Los Angeles or something. Very natural thing to happen. Users make this mistake all the time. If a user made this mistake, I want the script to say that test failed. Right? If that did pass after the user made that mistake, this test script is very broken. So this is a valid one to put in, right? Notice the discovery that we're doing here. Like I came in here with I didn't expect to add these two when I started the video. I kind of came in expecting just the couple of ones that I put in, but as I'm going here, I want more. And this has always been my tester experience with user stories, is that the design team tends to make this very constrained list of user stories. As a tester, user stories explode for me. I always want to do something a little bit different than the simple stories that they create. And so that's what you're watching live in action here. Okay. Let's go to another very different case. So open the chat window and confirm the assistant asked for her name, and then close the window. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to test rigor. I'm going to close these. By the way, something I really like about test rigor's UI is it gives you this building as it goes. I love that it just pops them in. I kind of like its presentation format of the video. So that's kind of cool, right? But let's of the screenshots, let's add test case. And I'm going to paste in that. Okay. I'm going to change the wording a little bit better. Ensure that the chat link opens a chat window, and then confirm the assistant asked for our name after that. Close the window, the chat window. Okay. So there's a little bit of, like I said before, I'm not telling it where to find the chat link. Okay, it's not on the front page. When you come to FordDrive.com, you have to go to contact us to find it. It's not down here. Okay, you have to get into contact us to find it. So it's got to do some exploration, which is a fun thing to force to exercise. So let's say generate actual test using AI again. Let's watch it build this up. And I'm going to expand this. It's still setting up. It means it's getting its machines ready, its browsers, whatever it's doing. Okay. So here we go. We're on the front page. And it went to contact us. Shows chat here. And you see the chat window's up. And here we go. Check if page contains let's chat. Click close. What? It shouldn't. Okay. It's still going. It passed according to the test. But notice that it said click close. I don't even know what it thinks it clicked to do that. This is actually something that bugs me about TestRigger. I don't know what it's clicking. What is close? Is there something that says close on here? There's nothing that says close in the chat window that I can see. If we go to Ford and I open this chat window, if I hover, okay, if I hover, I get a close on the X. Is that what it's going for? I can't tell. This is actually now we got it close. This actually really is something that in this whole category of products, not just TestRigger but others, they introduced this layer of abstraction between the user and what the test code is doing to the app. And when it says click close, what is it looking for? The word close on the page, the hover text on the little X thing? Is it using any kind of lower level constructs like IDs on object? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna right away. And the other thing is, it's not supposed to click close yet. In our instruction, we're supposed to wait until it confirms what the assistant. Yeah, it confirms the assistant asks for a name and then click close. So first thing, try to click close before confirming assistant asked for name. And then what is close? Cannot tell what TestRigger believes it is clicking on. Right? What is it clicking on? I can't tell. That really bugs me from a testing standpoint when I don't know what my tool is trying to do. It's one of my biggest issues with this kind of category of tools. And then again, when we say there's also a confirmation where it says extra checking for let's chat. I don't know if I really care that it's for that or not. I mean, it doesn't really harm the sequence, but we didn't tell it to do that. That bothers me a little bit. But see, this is one of these, well, what should it do? We're being really vague about how it's supposed to get there and know that it's there along the way. And maybe that check is just part of the robustness on the way that it's putting in to keep it on course. But this gets really dicey. And then the check for assistant asking name included entire checking paragraph, right? Again, it's like it's way too much. And then did not close chat window at end. Okay, so it missed a step. It overchecked, and it's ambiguous about what we're looking for. Right. So that's the thing. Now let's create a new case to cover the error one that we put in. So actually, I'm gonna close that. Let's copy this one, right? And let's do this and let's change it up. Confirm the assistant requires us to provide membership ID before offering. And this one, okay, if you remember on the document, where offer support, close window after confirming. I'm going to drop off close window after confirming. We already seen that not work. I don't want to complicate this one, so I'm going to change up the case a little bit because I'm focusing now more in, is it going to detect that didn't work? We've already seen it do a pretty good job with really obvious detection, like when we misspelled Los Angeles. This is a little more subtle. Like it's like I'm telling it to do a thing that really isn't going to be there. Let's see what it's going to do with that. Generate actual test using AI. And let's watch it do that. And we wait it out because it's still setting up, which is fine. Errors. I believe that the errors in our, I'm going to pop away just to see what the page doesn't contain launch most tokens. Command check if page. Oh, this is actually, I like this. It's telling us an error that is a really nice English version of what went wrong. I kind of like that. Although this view affected test cases, so we can see which ones this happened to, which will be that one. That's kind of nice. Although here's a thought. Now that we know it does this, we can imagine other test cases that derive from this. We should focus on different kinds of errors and see how well it describes them. That's a cool. See, this is another thing about testing. Is like as you go along, you say, "Oh wow, look, it does this. I should write this down." Matter of fact, I'll just be a good tester, and I'll just create a thing called notes. Test rigor provides an error page that gives natural language, or it gives a description of the error that occurred on different runs. So like, how does this description handle different kinds of errors? I'm just going to leave that question there because I think that's a whole interesting dimension to explore later, right? Okay, but let's go back. There are failures, yes, right. Ensure that, then confirm the assistant. If this one's ours, it says it passed. It should not pass. Membership ID. Oh, see, already, I'm not happy. Oh, wow, this one, it went bonkers on us. Okay, so contact us, chat here, found it. Okay. Hello, I need help with my account into. I did not tell it to say anything at all. And it says send. Check if page contains this one. Oh, I love this. Contains 11:44 a.m. sent. It's not going to be 11:44 a.m. the next time you execute this. I love this. Right? This is like, time-driven data is really fragile and just isn't going to be right next time. Check if the page contains hello. It's a generic thing. Great. Generate unique name, then enter into virtual A 11 a.m. and save as generated virtual A. Wow. It's like, look at this. It generated a unique name down here. It's a blah, and then it's sent, right? What is your name? Please avoid using any spell commands. So it put in a bunch of phone number. Test rigger asked for that, and it gave a unique name, generated virtual. There contains hello. I also need an account. I'll send your phone number to contact a live person. Click send. Enter John Doe into virtual AM, click send, check if page contains John Doe. To our press, please share the reason you contacted us. Forgot my membership ID and my account virtually. Send. For general inquiries regarding your account, you may reach us via email. See, this one, and it says past. It says past, and this is like horrifically off course. It's like started making up text to send to the chat when I did not ask it to. Asked for help with membership ID instead of checking if assistant requested membership ID, and then declared pass when the actual specified conditions were not checked at all. And look at this is also fun about this kind of AI driven stuff. I've come across this other kind of thing when using AI to test apps. One of the things that you really have to be careful about is that the AI starts using the app in ways you may not want it to do, like not just because it's not what the test is asking, but at all. Like, okay, it's starting to say, I need help with my account, let's chat. So it started to talk to the agent. Now, the agent in this case is a bot, but as we go along further here, and it's like blah, 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 and then, checking this and this, then it made up a name, and then I need help with your account, I need a phone connected with a live person. So now it wants to connect our script with a live person. Oh no, right? We don't want to do that. Okay. And then it makes up John Doe, and checks. So now it's making up identities, and then it still is going to connect to a representative. Please share the reason. I forgot my membership and yes, another account. It's going to think we're hacking. It's like get ourselves in trouble. And then but fortunately the bot on the other side seems to be smart and telling us, trying to get us away from right, because a lot of these help systems are about getting you help right away without having to talk to a person. So we kind of want to save here, but there's a lot of cases where systems send emails, where systems contact people, they maybe spend money, or they put load on systems you didn't expect them to put load onto. I've had to do this with AI-driven systems before, where you have to come in and patch the behavior. And this is actually, I think that if I was the business person working on this, my conclusion might be, oh wow, maybe I shouldn't be using this to check the chat. Okay. Although what we already know is that from edit test case, we should be able to edit this, say, fix it, right? So like what I'd really want to do is remove these steps where it's entering anything, remove this very specific check. Well, Ford Drive Helpline Virtual said, this is okay. But then what I'd really want to do is check if, given what I'm asking for to provide membership ID, is just say, check if page contains membership ID, right? And then close the window at the end and erase all this other stuff. I'm not going to continue with modifying that because I want to leave this here the way it is. And I think we kind of got the point. This one, I'll just make the notes here because yeah. And actually, I already got the notes, although the chat bot was starting to connect us with a live person. The test rigger AI was getting us into behavior we want to avoid under test. Okay, So those are the I love that whole category as like your runaway rogue AI doing things you don't want it to. That is well, that's a demonstration of kind of coming at something with the user story. To recap, so a couple of things I want to point out here. So first off, I'm flavoring my user stories to meet certain conditions, right? And not just going with what are the user stories marketing gave us. I'm picking this based on interesting test problems, right? They're slightly ambiguous. They're avoiding the test jargon and special language. I'm staying in the natural language expression, multiple steps, things that emerge, and I also flavored with detecting error conditions. Okay. I modified the stories as I went. I started with just three. I added two more. I took one and said, well, let's just examine this thing of a user that hit something it didn't like. Can they fix it using the same parameters as the way we started our story? I think that made a fun user story to test under. And we got to see some other things. We got to learn about new behaviors about its error page and the descriptions that it gives us more test ideas. And we got to see some really cool runaway rogue AI stuff pop out of it. So that's fun as well. So there you go. Testing from user stories, building them, executing them, modifying them as you go, exploring, and finding some cool behavior, all in an AI-driven app. So that's a bunch of fun stuff today. I'm going to call that done for right now, and thank you.